welcome. And this is
Welcome to the podcast. Anthony, welcome everybody. Put your head down.
he's doing it again.
Tell me what I can and can't do on here. Like, why are we all like in a tiered level?
Eyes up like up there.
Oh, I'm in line now.
Get your booster seat out.
But I'm trying to read the question. So what you're trying to say is you've gone from like being authentic and putting cow noises on a podcast that you didn't care about it being edited or anything like that. And now you're telling me I can't even put my head down on a podcast. Who do you think you are?
No. You know why? Because I put the podcast on my TV and when it come on, it's just your massive bonnet like that. And you go, oh, we on. It's like, yeah.
Such a professional podcast. Oh, we're on, yeah.
I'm not up for like jingles or anything, but I think anyway, this is a better one, isn't it? Welcome everybody.
Do you still put like try and put relevant, cool music on for us?
No, I can't do it on this, so I've got to. I could do actually. Hang on.
You really need to prioritize
yourselves. Hang on.
Oh God.
We really need to prioritize like a little studio day.
Yeah.
Don't we?
We do. There's one in Manchester that we use. It's good. Right. You should play that every time someone's about to answer a question.
Oh, cool.
Oh, fucking hell.
Oh, shit, no.
You're not entertained. I don't know. No.
Are you not entertained?
Right.
Hey, Anthony's got his bonds down, which means he must be reading questions.
Show what? Do it.
Right. I'll ask the first one. I don't work evenings, only mornings to afternoons. So naturally lead genning at quieter times and only work with female clients. Do you what? I'm doing my lead gen with both a lead magnet, a mini game to win a workshop, and conversations, but can't help feel the pressure still because I've only got 13 leads in 2 weeks. Am I putting too much pressure on myself? Guy.
I don't know exactly how many hours she's been putting into the lead gen. She doesn't say there, does she?
No.
I think that plays a part in it. I think, obviously, if you're in at quieter times and that's the time that you want to fill, then naturally you're going to get less leads overall than somebody that's going to be in at 6 a.m. or 7 p.m. I think it helps to give yourself a bit of a clearer target and then review that target. That if she said that she wanted to get 40 leads and then she's got 13, of course she's going to put pressure on herself because she's way off. So I think this is why it's good to review each week, because you can see whether you're being realistic or not. If you've put like 10 hours in and got 13 leads and you wanted 50, then maybe that's not realistic for the time that you're in. So I think it depends. It depends what you've been putting in. It depends on what clearly you want to get out. There's still value in being on the gym floor. There's still leads there to be had. 13 leads, if you're only trying to pick up 2 clients, is great. So I think it depends on what you're wanting to get out of it and what you're putting into it.
And it's different.
No, I think, are you squeezing the amount out of the hours that you can? I think having a limited amount of hours to do lead generation is a positive. I know that some people might think that's a bit stupid, but I think sometimes having a smaller window to do things give you less choice. And I think less choice is a good thing when you could do anything and everything. So I find that most coaches who have limited time or resources work really well with them times and resources because they've only got that to focus on. So I think if you can squeeze as much as possible out the hours that you have, I don't see it as being a bad thing. So say for argument's sake, you've got 13 out of 4 hours work, and you do really well. I don't see it being a negative thing. But if the aim is to really increase the volume of leads, maybe change the lead magnet and go with a lower barrier one to do more volume. But then that'll probably take a little bit longer to nurture.
Come on. Next.
Yes. At what point do people realise they have too many clients or overworking, and how would you manage to find that limit, Nick?
I think you can only kind of know the limit when you put pressure on that.
Yeah.
I think you only know when you get there to a certain extent. And then I think it's about you stress test your processes, your coaching ability, your attention, your energy levels, etc. So I think if you've got some key markers that, some non-negotiables from on business, in business, how you measure yourself in the session, um, the work you do outside of it. I think if you start naturally, when you add things in and you get busier, things will start to slip and things will start to go by the wayside. That's very natural. There's two things you can do there. One, obviously pull back on the time that you're working with people. Two, which is the first thing I'd probably look at, is looking at readjusting either A, your schedule to manage your energy better, or B, look to improve your processes to speed up and give you a little more time back. But the direct question to that is you don't really know. Everyone's different. So I think you've got to tip over the edge a little bit to know whether you've hit your limit personally.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, generally speaking, if we were to kind of sit here and go hours of in-person coaching, if we were going to average it out, and it is an average, there's anomalies, there's less, there's more. I would say between 20 and 25 hours a week is probably, I think we could all say, is probably an average where we see a lot of things starting to be affected. So that's an average, but everybody's different. Yeah, that's my answer, Anthony.
Is it my question?
It's your question.
What is a working from home essential item that makes your life easier?
Oh, calendar.
Wall calendar.
It's a god.
I was actually going to say something that I would have probably potentially got some hate for. I was going to say, like, having a Stacey to make my dinner, but she's not here anymore to make it. Do you know what I mean?
I'd agree with that.
Like, the feminists are going to be on to me.
No.
I'm joking. But that was a big help, I'm not going to lie.
No, it's not.
I would say a dedicated working environment or a working area. If you can get yourself a little office away from everything and lock yourself away, then give yourself an office in your gaff, or just a working environment that is very much, this is my working environment, not sat in the kitchen, on the dinner table, in the front room, on the sofa, in the bedroom, and all of that. Then it's really difficult. So Sky, but it just becomes difficult.
I know, it's the worst thing about, like, I love that we live in this apartment, but the worst thing is the space. I don't have a space. Like, I either go between the kitchen when no one's in, or Samson's got a bunk bed with a desk under it, and I sit under that and shut myself in there. Like, it does make such a huge difference, because I can't help but look at what fucking washing needs to be taken out, pots need doing. I'm like so distracted sometimes, especially if other people are in. So I'd say that's a huge one.
Yeah, just a dedicated working environment. It doesn't even, like, you don't have to have an office.
No, don't have to be any
place in your house where you can go, that's where I'm working. And
yeah,
I would say that personally. I really hope Stacey doesn't listen to this.
Sure she doesn't. She fucking has to listen to you all day, every day anyway.
Very true. Very true. Obviously doesn't listen to this podcast, does he? And he clearly doesn't care how Sky is doing too.
Never asked how I am. How is Nick and Ant doing?
Yeah, I'm going to have a word with him on Friday.
Okay.
We're going to have words on Friday, me and you, lad. How is Ant and Nik doing? But I'll extend that. How is Sky, Nick, and Ant doing? Nick, how are you doing?
All right.
Sky, how are you doing? I'm
not answering because no one cares.
Okay.
You don't even include me in your marketing photos.
You don't have any photos.
Any photo you've got, you're in a wheelchair.
Nobody fucking knows I exist.
Like fucking Brian Potter. In fact, who the hell has put Sky on the podcast cover? You or Stacey?
It's
terrible. Like, honestly, she looks like she's like this, like a little meerkat over our shoulders.
Which one?
Don't do
One
that.
on YouTube or
You need to get Stacey to sort that out.
well, Stacey's got no time. She's cooking your
She's cooking your dinner.
and for that,
Not
she's gonna
anymore. Not anymore.
get some for that. Waiting for something to
Next question.
what is the best way to plan for a completely new product that you want to sell? Anthony.
Right. I would personally get together all of the thoughts and ideas into one place as step one of going, this is what I would love it to be, love it to look like, love it to have. So I think for me, that's number one. I would then, in steps, and this is, you've asked what we would do, but what's the best way? I would then look at researching the market a little bit on the things that I've proposed to myself in regards to going, would you value this? Would you not value this? What would you want from this? And start to understand the market from that side of perspective. Once I've done that, really simply, and this probably is oversimplified, but I would probably put like a in marketing terms, I put an MVP together. So I put like a minimal viable product together.
It really helps.
Do you know what it killed me to say that then, yeah? Because they were the meetings that I used to sit in Pure Gym. I was like, oh, fucking God, shut up. Yeah, I'd put the minimum what you feel that you would be comfortable of putting out there that would also achieve an outcome for a person. So I'd just get it out and get going. And then as soon as you start to get people in, then I'd start to refine it from there. Because within that process, you've built it out from the ground up, you've got market research, that will provide you with your marketing strategy, or should do. So spending time on that in terms of, are we just doing organic? Are we just doing paid? I can't believe I just said MVP. Are we doing organic? Am I doing paid? That type of stuff. What's the strategy around that? And then it's get it out, get working with people, learn on the go a little bit, but make sure that I feel an element of confidence around the service, product, and coaching that it's going to enable an outcome for someone. And that's it, really. 3 or 4 steps. The big 3 or 4 steps, but if you're going to do it properly. But they're the ones that I take. What do you think?
You asked it.
Would not add anything. I think MVP could both.
I might just put that here. In fact, fuck it, I am. MVP.
Here it goes. New name.
You're echoing on yours. Yeah, one job.
It is always him as well, isn't it? Right. No talking now, Anthony. Let the adults speak. Next one. How would you best deal with a client that doesn't adhere to anything within the business, but they are somewhat happy with their results when you know they're not making much progress? Couple of conflicting statements in that question.
First thing is understand their expectations, understand their goals. I think there's a tone of like assumption in the question. So the first thing I would go back and understand their expectations and understand their goals. And it's a lot of what we talked about over the last couple of weeks with the coaches corner sessions in regards to that entry point and having those discussions and understanding their expectations and not taking it at face value in regards to what they're saying when you don't really have that type of relationship right at the start. So I would that's the very first place I would start with, instead of throwing lots and lots of different things to try and solve the problem. And it might just come down to the fact that you're expecting more from them than they actually want. But I think it's that those first 2 points is where I'd absolutely start with. Because otherwise you are literally going to be throwing methods and solutions at maybe problems that aren't actually there. So yeah, that's what I would do. Anything different from anyone?
No, I just think that like the way that's worded is funny. They are somewhat happy with their results. How do you know? If you don't get feedback often, and anonymous feedback is the best form of feedback, but if you're not asking them both for anonymous and, kind of reviewing their progress, you would know whether they are happy or not. But obviously that then goes hand in hand with what are they wanting to make progress towards. I don't think they can be somewhat happy with their results when they're not making much progress. So yeah, I think there's something to be done there to kind of just clarify. We kind of had this conversation last week, I think, didn't we? That we as coaches can sometimes either we can be complacent because it's easy to coach that person, or that person is just happy. They are genuinely happy with the rate at which they are moving forward. But like you said, Nick, I think we can't assume either way. So it's really good to get crystal clear on what their expectation is and if their goal is still their goal.
Defo. My question.
Is Ant just not going to speak now because he's echoing?
Yeah, probably. What is the simplest way productize? God, I can say that's a mouthful. Your training methodology, Anthony.
Write a program, brand it, give it some level of identity. Okay, now what's that? Identity. So brand identity. Create an awareness-based marketing strategy to get it out there to the world for people to understand it. Trial it, and then sell it. So that's the simplest way to do it. Price it. Like, have a look at the market in regards to what else is out there in a similar way. Price it where you see fits around whether the good, the bad, and the ugly of that market in regards to the price versus the product. Yeah, and very similar to what I said before about that kind of MVP shout. Like, as soon as you've got the product and service, as soon as you've got the market, you've understood the competitor, done a bit of competitor analysis, understood where your price point fits. Get the fucker out. Get the fucker out. Yeah, the problem with that is when someone wants to do something like that is because normally it only yields a smaller amount of revenue versus your coaching. And most coaches are already busy, especially the person who's asked this question. You will create this because you think this is an easy way to make money. Here's a 12-week program. This is what I do anyway. Easy to sell because I share a lot of personal stuff regarding my training and all of that. It's a great idea. I'm just going to put it out. You put it out, you might get a few put their hands up and start to buy, but then it needs a proper market. It needs the same level of marketing strategy as a fucking £300 a month online coaching. Now, the difference is that most coaches then don't do that because you go, well, actually, this is only 50, 60, 70 pound a month. So I'm not going to put loads of time into it. But unfortunately, if you want it to fucking go well and go through volumes of people and earn you some money, you've got to put the same time, energy, and effort into what you would do a £300 a month marketing strategy. So in my opinion, it's picking your fight to see if it's the right thing to do. But in terms of the simplest way, as I've just stated, get the program built, pick a name, give it some brand identity, make sure you know who it's for and who it's aimed at, and then roll the shit out, but with a big attention drive. Roll the shit out, Nick. See you in a bit.
See you in a bit. Mute.
You surprised me with that answer because I literally thought you were just going to say, write a program, sell it. I thought you were going to end with that. What is the first thing that you would do once you have found your limit with regards to your work capacity?
Pop a fucking bottle, mate. Celebrate the shit out of it. What would I do when you're at capacity? I think maybe try and see if there's anywhere where I could maybe save a bit more time or get a little bit more efficient. Whether that be with admin stuff, whether that be like the marketing side, the content creation, email writing, whatever it is that you're doing on that side of things. I think those would be the main things I would do. I would be really, really relentless in the service that I was delivering. I wouldn't let that drop because if you're at capacity, then you want to stay there as long as you can. So be really relentless in the service. But I think from like what would I do once I found that limit is then see where I can maybe claw some time back from just making things that I am doing more efficient. That's me personally. You could start to look at like what you want to, if there's things that you want to hand off, but it depends if that's the way that you want to go. I don't know if you get to your limit of capacity and you want to keep growing, then it's a different conversation. But if you want to just kind of stay where you are.
I think the efficiency side of things comes in massively because even even if you don't want to grow, like you might be sitting there going, right, I've got X amount of people face to face, I'm cool with that, can handle that, I'm staying relatively consistent with all the other bits and bobs on business, or I don't want to grow, cool. But if someone offered you more time back, you'd take it.
Yeah.
So the growth doesn't have to be numbers of or hours face to face with someone. It could mean growth as a business owner, becoming more efficient and effective, and
Save money, less time.
yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
I think once you've got to this point as well, like we've spoken about this before, that to get to a point where you are like happy with everything and the amount of marketing you're doing, the amount of clients that you've got, the amount of revenue you're making, it's fucking hard graft to get to that point. Once you're at that point, you should have a load of fucking systems, a load of marketing campaigns, a load of email content, social media content, a load of things, lead gen magnets that you can just rinse and repeat then. So that in itself should be saving you time. If you get to a point where you go, right, I know that I've got 2 clients dropping off next month. Now it's time to put a lead magnet back on or back out. You should have something there that you can essentially rinse and repeat. You're not having to go through the process that you've done at the start where you're writing it all out for the first time, planning it all out. So that in itself should give you confidence and give you some time back.
Nice. Next.
Let's see. Any more questions? Okay.
Scalas.
Oh, okay.
Why have you guys and many others settled on CrossFit or high rock style training as your preferred method? Is it for health, performance, looks, enjoyment, etc.? Do you believe clients have preferred training methods based on their likes and dislikes, personalities, etc.? Just because most fitness professionals have tried and no longer tend to do bodybuilding type training. For example, is it important to expose clients to a range of styles and methods so they can find their own path too? If a client's goal is to look good, yeah, I know it's a shit goal, but we obviously focus on nutrition. But what training would you give them and why? It appears everyone has different ideas. I'm going to go to Nick first.
I think you should stick at what you're passionate about. Listen, when you break everything down, whether you're doing a squat in a wall ball in a high rocks, or a back squat in CrossFit, or a back squat or a city squat when you're doing bodybuilding, the movements are all the same. The way that you approach things and you delivering the coaching to that person is all the same. And largely when we're working with general population, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but one of your first goals is to get people to consistent and be internally motivated to come into the gym. So finding a preference which they kind of enjoy and they feel challenged by. If you ask clients within the first 6-12 months of them working with you, I don't think they'd really know the answer. They might have preferred exercises based on different things, but in my opinion, I think you should have a bit of a broad idea of how things work. Do I think you should stick to one style? No, I don't, personally. That doesn't make it right or wrong if you do. But I think, why has many CrossFitters or professionals use that as a preferred method? I just think it's something different, and I think people like to jump on trends, and I think this will last for a couple of years, and you'll probably find that people who are doing high rocks now will probably move on to something different in a couple of years. I don't think it's a bad thing. Yeah, I think it's enjoyment because it's a part of our life, and I don't think you should pigeon yourself into one style or methodology whatsoever. Like, I've obviously done CrossFit for a long time, but I've done a high rocks event, I've run marathons, and I'll do strength cycles, and I'll do all bits and pieces. So I think it's just very popular now. So I think that's what you're seeing a hell of a lot of. I don't actually think particularly it's bodybuilding as such has lost any kind of momentum or popularity. I think there's more people active right now, and I think there's a lot of trend on something new, which is high rocks over the last couple of years, and that's why I think you're probably seeing more of that. But I personally feel that you should experience lots of different things as a coach, And there's just like, as an active person, I think you should try different things. Do I think you should change styles? Not particularly, but I don't think you should. If you're training a bodybuilder, then you train them to compete. If you're training general population, I think you should have an open mind to different methods, personally. That's my thoughts. You moving me on, Anthony?
Sky, what's your thoughts on that?
Like personally, she said, why have you guys settled on CrossFit and High Rocks? I think when you spend so much time in an industry and you spend so much time, like we are the percentage of people that will do more exercise than anybody else because it's our job. I think it's natural to go through different, like you said, different focuses. Like same for me, High Rocks. I'm taking part in a bit of High Rocks. I'm training for a marathon. You know, I do a bit of CrossFit. I do jiu-jitsu. I think anything that keeps me engaged with movement is good, and that's my key thing now, is like I want to enjoy it because I want to be moving long term. But the bodybuilding style of training for me personally, after 7 or 8 years, I just wasn't enjoying it, and I was having to drag myself to it. So I know that training is good for my health, but I also want to enjoy it. Bodybuilding could be absolutely fine for my health, but if I'm not enjoying it, then it's not really good for my mental health. So I think that's why I think you'll find a lot of people will do different things and settle on different things. I agree. I don't think bodybuilding has got any less popular. I think maybe it's like an age thing. As people are getting older, they're trying different things, whereas the younger generation are maybe starting in bodybuilding, starting in strength training. My clients do a range of stuff. So I've got clients that do CrossFit. I've got clients that are specifically training for like High Rocks or running events. I've got clients that are doing strength training cycles. I've got clients that just want to go 2 or 3 times a week to the gym, build a bit of muscle. I guess that's what you'd call bodybuilding. And I think it is based on their personalities, because I've got clients that absolutely love putting themselves in a hole. Like the more disgraceful I can make a workout, the more they buzz off it. And I've got other clients that would absolutely fucking hate that. And if I programmed that for them, they wouldn't do it. They would just be like, oh no, that's really not for me. They'd feel stupid getting the kit out in the gym. They'd feel stupid getting a big sweat on and having a red face and all that stuff. So yeah, I do think different personalities might be drawn to different things. But I do think you could throw in a little bit something different to see if they might like it. Some people just don't know what they don't know, and they don't know that they might like something until they've tried it. So yeah, if it's Gen Pop, there's a million different things that you could do. There's going to be the same movements, just in different formats. I don't think you have to stick to one thing. Obviously, if you're not confident coaching CrossFit, you wouldn't coach that. If you're not confident programming running for someone, you wouldn't program it. But I don't think, I don't think what we do as coaches has to be then what we program for our clients, and vice versa.
You've also got to look at, it's a label and it's a brand and it's a hell of a lot of marketing. Like if you put High Rocks events and stations with running in between in a gym, and you didn't stripped away the name of High Rocks, it'd be a fucking circuit class with a bit of running.
Yeah.
That would be it. Like CrossFit, strip away the name, it's high intensity intervals.
Yeah. Functional.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think we get very caught up in pigeonholing ourselves and labeling it as like, I do High Rocks, I do CrossFit, I do bodybuilding, I powerlift. It's fine, but ultimately, it's all the same thing, just different modalities, really, isn't it? And any thoughts, Anthony? No good.
Question.
Here's one. Going into Feb, how to manage clients who start to fall away from the January motivation they've had? Great question. Anthony.
Chin the cunts. I think for me, there should be a level of intervention in there anyway. So agreed, where you sit down, have a look at goals, how far they've come, all of that type of stuff. Have a look at goals for moving forward, how they want to measure success, what success looks like to them, and just have a bit of a reset with every client. Not all clients may, I'll just caveat that with that, not all clients may need it, but I would lay it on the table for clients with the reason being the question. Being it's completely, you're normalizing relapses, and I think that's so important as a coach. So if you normalize the relapse and have everybody aware that it's a normal process and that you've got interventions and support and coaching and guidance within your business that helps people with that, I think that's coaching. So for me personally, it would be going back through that type of process, sitting down and making some measurable goals, targets, and weekly actions that they want to focus on to keep moving them forwards, and really outline how they're going to deal with little mini setbacks and dips in motivation as life gets in the way. Because let's be honest, a lot of people have added something in that they can't maintain because of how busy life is people. So it's supporting them through that too. Anything you would add? Flip
I
that
would,
motherfucker.
I would just add to that what you've just said is not just for the end of the January rush. It's for probably every month or every few weeks when clients are going to dip in motivation. How many hours should I spend in the gym each day?
7.
8. 7.
180!
Sound is awful when you shout as well.
There's
Get a mic or something, MVP.
I haven't got a fucking sound for that, have I?
So the answer is, it depends.
Yeah, really. How many hours? Yeah, completely depends on goal, what you're looking to do, your capacity, everything. More context on that. We could go around the houses with that question, I think. Next is best way to get people from classes into your business. My classes are busy, but I don't feel like I've made the most of that until recently.
Best ways to get leads out of classes are, first of all, these are the steps that I would take. I would go into a class with a mini survey and say, listen, fam, I wouldn't say, listen, fam, I promise you. I'm just being a dick now because these two are being nasty to me today. Now, I would go in with a survey and go, these are the things that I'm about to give away to every single person who comes to a class as a bit of a reward for your motivation, dedication, all of that. Massage their ego a little bit. Go to the back of the class or go to the front of the class. Do me a favor, scan that QR code and vote on which of those that you would love to have, whether it's a program for upper body, lower body, some form of nutrition cheat sheet or fat loss, whatever, right? So outcomes that you feel. I know the majority of people who come to a class want to lose weight, want to tone up, want to get fitter. So I would base my lead magnets around them. I'd let them pick. And then for a month at a time, anyone who comes to that class, there'd be 2 lead magnets that I'd give out. I'd talk about it, the outcomes at the start, the middle, and the end of that class. And I would absolutely drive the living daylights out of it for people who are in there. To a point where I used to do this, so this is not me chatting poo. Classes were a really, really good lead generator for me when I was in Fitness First, massive for me. So I would target myself that I wouldn't leave a class. Let's say I average 20 to 30 people in a class, I'd try and get 5 to 10 leads out of that class every time. Also, last point on this is at this time of year, there's lots of new people in classes. So I would make a bit of a beeline for them people and go, just to let you know, I give everyone who comes to my classes a bit of a starter pack, a Kickstarter program. So for whenever you don't get in a class, you can go on the gym floor and you've got something to follow. All you need to do is scan that. And I would make sure that I know who the new people are because I'm going to make them feel absolutely unreal. And then that'll help me build relationships with them. So they're the things that I would do in every single class, every class. And I would target myself relevant to the average numbers that I get. Last point. I also think that it reflects on you as a coach, how busy your classes are. Like I used to teach classes Friday night at 8 o'clock in the city centre of Manchester when everyone was on the piss. But I used to see that as a decent challenge for me to get people there from the gym floor to build a class that people wanted to come to before they went out on the piss. So personally, I think it's a reflection on you. If you want leads out of classes, get your classes full, lead generating them, and then go from there. I think people do it. Too many coaches do it just to tick a box and don't take advantage of it. Thanks for my time there, Nick.
If you were looking to open a small group PT facility fairly local to your pure gym in the next 18 months, what would you be doing now, Sky?
Now, I would be looking at the current facilities that are open around my pure gym, what they're doing, what they're charging, trying to find out what their member base is like, or how many PTs they have. Obviously, doing a bit of market research. I'd be looking at empty units in the area, what they look like, what they're going to cost per month. Obviously, make a plan, a business plan for this unit. What you want to do. Is it going to be just you? Is it going to be you and other coaches? how much are you going to charge? How many people do you want to train there? Looking at all the boring stuff like permits, opening hours, all the stuff that people forget about when they open a facility. That's what I'd be doing at 18 months out. Nick, you want to answer? Yeah, he chatted.
I've done enough with classes there. I'm fucking out of breath here. I'm out of puff.
I would be making sure that if it's 18 months out, that's a big chunk of time where you can effectively create a business which you can pick up and put into your new facility. So that's probably the number one thing I would be looking to do. I'd question 18 months. Don't know about that timeline. Think you could probably do it quicker, but that's just me. Maybe next 6 months or so, probably. And you know what? Like, I think you know the model, you know what kind of kit list space you're going to need. I actually think, I mean, first of all, generating a stack of leads and building a massive reputation in a local area. I think community-wise, you could probably get out and do bits and pieces in the community more, like face-to-face, live. I think you could, yeah, those are things, to be honest. I think there's an actual, like what Sky said there in regards to like definitely getting a plan and understanding some costs and things like that, definitely. But I think those as well as getting as busy as possible as you can now, generate as many leads as you can, challenging yourself on that timeline, I think, because knowing this person, I would have thought it. I didn't think it was that person, so I just looked at the name. So I think you could do that quicker.
That's why I passed it on, because he hears enough from me about this and the same stuff that you've just said. I've said for weeks.
Sort it out. All right.
Tell him. MVP it. All right.
Sort it out. Yeah, open by July. All right.
They're flying up in Scotland as well, by the way. Them little gyms, small group training facilities, flying up.
Yeah, that's it. That's all the questions for today.
So what's your outro? If your intro was so fucking important.
Outro is...
Jingle, come on. Play a little jingle.
Should we see what jingles we got? I don't know what the fuck.
People get to the end.
Do you know what I've been doing that I'm really enjoying on ChatGPT? Getting it to write sea shanties about people. So basically, I could put in details about you or Ant, give it some details, and then say, write a sea shanty. Have you ever heard a sea shanty? Like a
I thought you was an R&B singer, me.
No. Right, I'm going to come on next week and I'm going to have a shanty.
Can you do one for our intros to the podcast? There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to tune in next week because I'm going to start it with a shanty about Ant and Nik.
Shanty? What does she used to sing?
Shandy. She's going to bring us shandies.
That's going to be the intro. Yes.
I like it.
I wonder how many times it's going to say cunt about me.
Right, stop it.